Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by again, and if this is your first time on this channel, you're absolutely welcome. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. In this tutorial today, I'm going to show you how to cut and sew a female trouser using a very easy method. If this sounds like something you would love to learn, please watch till the end so you don't miss any part of it. And without further ado, let's get started. And right here guys, this is the material that we're going to use for this tutorial, and here I have this pink crepe material, and for this tutorial I use 2 yards. For this project I'll be using a freehand method, so I'll just go ahead and calculate the amount of fabrics to fold for the front piece. And the first thing we are going to do is to go ahead and divide our hip by 4. And for this project, the hip we are working with is 42, okay? So I'll just go ahead and divide 42 by 4, and that will give me 10.5. And the next thing to do is to go ahead and add allowance to the value we got, all right? So you can go ahead and add about 1 inch to 1.5 since we are making a trouser, right? So for this project, I added 1.5 for the allowance, and that's going to give me 12 inches. And having done that, the next thing to do is to go ahead and calculate the crotch extension. And for the front part of the trouser, the formula is hip divided by 20, all right? And that in essence is 42 divided by 20, and that is going to give us 2.1. And now we're going to go ahead and add the two values together, all right? And that is going to give us 14.1, all right? And this is the exact amount of fabrics that we need for the front piece. And right here, guys, that's exactly what I've done. I've gone ahead to use the figure we got, which is 14.1, to go ahead and cut out the material. And remember, you're going to be cutting it in 2 places because it's for both of the front legs, okay? And that is why I have this material here on fold. And to start drafting, the first thing I'll do is just to go ahead and indicate the start line, which is also going to be the waist line. And the next thing to do is to go ahead and start marking the other vertical lines, all right? And I'm going to place my tape measure in a way that I have 1.5 inches outward like so, all right? And this is because we are going to be adding a band to the trouser later on, and the length of the band is going to be 1.5 inches, all right? And that is why I'm putting 1.5 inches outward like so, all right? And right now, the next line to indicate is the hip line. And for this project, I'll be using 9 inches from waist to hip, all right? And that is what I just indicated right here, all right? And the next line to indicate is the crotch length, okay? And to get your crotch length, just go ahead and divide your hip circumference by 4, all right? And in this case, my hip circumference divided by 4 is going to be 10.5 inches, all right? So I will just indicate with a straight line like so. And up next, we're going to indicate the tie line, and normally the tie line falls around 3 inches from the crotch length, all right? And that is what I'm just indicating right here. And having done that, the next length to indicate is the knee length, all right? And for this project, it is 22 inches. And I'll just go ahead and indicate with a straight line like so, all right? And having done that, the next line to indicate is the trouser length. My normal trouser length is 42, but I'm going for an ankle length trouser, so I'm using 39.5. So I'll just go ahead and mark a straight line across the trouser length. And what we have left here is for the folding allowance, which is about 1.5 inches. And so right here we have the waistline, the hip line, the crotch line, tie line, knee line, and the trouser length. Up next, I'm going to come to the hip line, and I'm going to indicate the hip circumference divided by 4. And in this case, it is 10.5. So I'll just go ahead and indicate it right here. And also had 1.5 inches allowance. And altogether we have 12 inches, okay? So I'm going to put this same 12 inches on the crotch line like so. And I'll also duplicate the same 12 inches on the waistline like so. And having done that, I will link the point together. And having done that, the next thing to do is to go ahead and indicate the crotch extension, which is hip divided by 20. In my case, it is 2.1, and I just approximated that to be 2 inches and indicated it. And next, we're going to go ahead and create our crotch cuff like so. And up next, I'll come to this part and I'll come inward by half an inch. And I will link it to the crotch line like so. This is to enable the crotch relax better, okay? And next, I'll go ahead and divide my waist by 4 and I'll just indicate it like so. All right, and I'm going to add 1 inch for that and 1.5 inch for seam allowance. And having done that, I'll connect from the waist to the hip line. And up next, I'm going to come to the crotch line here and I'm going to measure what we have there, then find the midpoint. Here I have around 14 inches and I'll just indicate the midpoint. So in essence, we have 7 inches on each side of the line, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and mark these 7 inches from the thigh line to the knee line and the trouser length. And having done that, I'll just go ahead and connect them together on a straight line. And up next, we're going to come to the thigh line here and get our thigh circumference. For this project, it is 26 inches. And we're going to divide 26 inches by 2. And that is going to give us 13 inches, okay? And we're going to add 1 inch for allowance. And that is going to give us 14 inches. So the next thing to do is to make sure to divide that 14 inches between the lines, all right? Make sure that half of 14 inches is on this part here, and I'll just indicate it like so, and the rest of the 14 inches is going to be on the other side right here, okay? And I'll just go ahead now and link this to the crotch line like so, and on this side I'll link it like so. And up next, we're going to come to the knee line here and get the knee circumference. For this project, we are using 20 inches and divided by 2, that is going to give us 10. And I'll also add 1 inch to that to make it 11 inches, all right? So we're going to distribute that on both sides of the lines. And having done that, I'll go ahead and connect the point to the thigh line. And having done that, the next thing to do is to come to the full length here, and we are going to duplicate whatever we have on the knee line on this full length, all right? On the knee line, we have 11 inches and we're just to go ahead and duplicate that right here. But what I did was to minus 1 inch, all right, from that, okay? So instead of 11 inches, I did 10 inches on the full length in order to make it tapered, okay? That is how I want it, okay? So I'll just go ahead now and connect the points together like so. And right now, the next thing to do is to go ahead and draft out our dart, okay? So here, I'll just come inward by 4 inches, which is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. And from that point, I'll just come downward by 5 inch. And right here, I'll just take in half an inch on both sides of this point right here. And I'll just connect it to the point down here to create our dart. And before I cut it out, I'll just add half an inch at the top here for joining allowance. And right now, I'll go ahead and cut out the pattern. Alright guys, so this is the trouser after cutting it out, and here I noticed that the dart is not well centered, alright? So I'll just clean it up and we'll redraft it again. So right here on the crotch line, remember that I came inward by half an inch when drafting. So I'm going to put this into consideration. Instead of 4 inches for that, I'm going to use 4.5, and I just indicated that. I will come downward by 5 inch and connect the point together. Then I'll take half an inch on both sides to create the dart like so. And having done that, I'll just go ahead and notch this dart point. And here we are done with our front piece. So right now we are going to go ahead and cut the back piece, and in order to estimate the amount of fabric to fold, all right, we're going to do a little calculations, and here I'll just divide my hip, and that is 42 inches divided by 4, and that is going to give us 10.5. And for whatever value we got, we are going to go ahead and add an allowance to it, and for this project we added 1.5 inches, and that is going to give us 12 inches, just like we did calculate for the front. All right, and right now the next thing to do is just to go ahead and get the crotch extension, and here we are going to say hip divided by 10, okay, instead of hip divided by 20 as we did for the front. Okay, so here 42 divided by 10 is going to give us 4.2. And the last step is to go ahead and add the values together, which is 12 plus 4.2 plus extra allowance, because the back piece is always bigger than the front because of the bum at the back. All right, so you can go ahead and add extra 2 inches, extra 3 inches, or 4 inches, depends on how big the bum is. All right, here I just added 3 inches. All right, and I'll just add these figures together, and that will give me 19.2. And right here, this is the amount we need for the back piece. And right here, that's exactly what I went ahead to cut out. And right now, just go ahead and place the front piece on this new material. And as you can see right here, I left spaces on both sides and also the top. And right now, the next thing I'll do is just to go ahead and extend the line right from the crotch point here. I'll make sure that the line shows on the back piece like so. And having done that, I'll come to the waistline here and I'll come inward by 2 inches. And on this point, I'll go upward by 1 inch. You can do 1.5 inches or 2 inches. This allowance is to give room for the butt at the back, so that when you sit down, you can sit comfortably. But 1 inch is okay for me. You can do 2 inches or 1.5, like I said earlier, if you're on a bigger side. So right here, I'll just indicate the 1 inch like so. And I'll just link that point to the waistline like so. And having done that, the next thing to do is to go ahead and measure what we have here on the waistline, and we are going to replace it on the back also. So we have 10.5 on the front waist, and we are going to recreate for the back waist in a slant manner like so. All right, so I just marked 10.5 right here too. And I'll just go ahead and connect the point together slantly like so. And up next, I'll come to the hip line here and I'll come outward by 1.5 inches. And this is to give allowance to the butt area. And next, I'll just connect from the waist to the new point right here. And having done that, I'll start marking 1 inch right from the thigh line to the trouser length. And I'll just go ahead and connect the point together like so. And having done that, the next thing to do is to work on the crotch extension for the back. All right, and the formula is hip divided by 10, and in this case 42 divided by 10 would give us 4.2. And remember that for the front we've already used half of that. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and use the remaining 2.1 for the back crotch extension, and I just approximated that to be 2, and I indicated that right here. And right on that point, I'll just come down by 1/2 inch. And the next thing to do is to link the crotch extension to the waistline. So I'm going to place this front piece aside, and I'm going to link the waistline to the crotch extension. And having done that, I'll place the front piece back in its place like so. And the next thing I'm going to do is to connect from the back crotch extension. I'm going to connect it towards the knee line like so. And I'll just go ahead and use my chalk to trace the shape of the remaining part like so. And having done that, I'll remove the front piece. And here, as you can see, we have the pattern for the back piece. And before I cut it out, I'll just go ahead and create a pattern for it. On the crotch line here, I'll come inward by 4.5 inches, and on that point I'll come downward by 5 inches, and I will link the point together like so. Then I'll mark half an inch on both sides of the line to create our dart, just like we have it here. Okay, and the next thing to do is just to go ahead and cut out the pattern. All right, and so right here we have both the front piece and the back piece. All right, and the next thing we need to do is just to go ahead and stitch the crotch area for both the front piece and the back piece. And right here, that's exactly what I've done. I've gone ahead to stitch the crotch area using half an inch out of our allowance of 1.5 inches. Okay, and this is what it looks like. And I also went ahead to take in the dart, as you can see. And right now the next thing to do is to go ahead and open it up like so, and I'm going to be placing the front piece on the back piece, right side facing right side, and we're going to be stitching the side using 1 inch. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch this side using 1 inch, and I'm going to repeat the same process to the other side. And right here, guys, that's exactly what I've done. I've gone ahead to stitch both sides, and the next thing to do is to stitch the inseam. All right, and what we need to do is to go ahead and align both crotch together like so. We're going to open up the stitches, okay, and we're going to align the front and the back together. You can go ahead and pin it, then we are going to go ahead and stitch it. Right here, guys, I've gone ahead to join the inseam, and I made sure that both of the crotch aligns correctly. All right, and the next thing to do is to go ahead and add band to the trouser. And in order to do this, I went ahead to open up one side of the trouser like so, about 7 inches opening. All right, and later on we're also going to be installing our zipper on this opening. I don't want the zipper at the back. All right, you can do that if you want to. And right here, this is the band that we're going to use for the trouser, and the length of the band is 4 inches, while the width is the same width as the waist of the trouser. And right here on the band, I went ahead to fold half an inch on just one end of the band. And the next thing I'll do right now is to go ahead and place the right side of the band on the right side of the trouser. Right here, I'm pinning the part of the band where I didn't fold. So I'm going to pin it all around, and we're going to stitch it. And right here, guys, that's exactly what I've done, and this is what it looks like at the moment. And when you flip it to the right side, this is what you would have on the right side. Okay, and up next, I'll just go ahead and flip it towards the wrong side like so, and I'm going to pin it. And right here, guys, I've gone ahead to pin it all around, as you can see right here. Okay, and the next thing to do is to come to the front side here, the right side, and we are going to be stitching it here. All right, we're going to carefully, stitch in between the joint part here where the band and the trouser meet. We are going to carefully stitch it, all right, neatly. It is called a stitch in the ditch. Okay, so open it up a little bit and stitch in between the lines like so. Just carefully stitch in between like so that at the end of the day it's going to be very, very neat. And right here, guys, that's exactly what I've done. I've gone ahead to finish the band, as you can see, and this is what it looks like on the wrong side. Okay, and the next thing to do right now is just to go ahead and install our zipper, then finish the bottom of the trouser. And so right here, guys, that's exactly what I have done. I've gone ahead to install the zipper on the trouser, as you can see right here. And also I've gone ahead to fold the hemline of the trouser. Okay, I didn't stitch the hemline. I just went ahead to insert hemming gum, then I ironed it. All right, this is just optional. You can just go ahead, fold, then stitch, or you use both of the method if you want. And right now our trouser is ready and looking so very neat. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful, and I'll see you in my next tutorial.